Iris introduced Rachel as a newcomer from the General Assembly, indicating that she was there to learn under Iris's guidance. Rachel politely bowed and smiled at Theo before he returned to his usual place in the Exian sect. Puzzled by his sudden interest in Rachel, Theo found himself unable to look away from her. He couldn't shake the feeling that they may have crossed paths before. Rachel suddenly vomited blood, causing distress and disbelief in her mind as her lifelong practice of the evil spirit fragrance failed her. Concerned, Theo inquired about her well-being and the reason behind her sudden illness. Theo speculated if it was due to a bewitching technique but realized he was unaffected due to the protection of the chant of black ice. Observing Rachel's disarrayed spiritual power and internal energy, he recognized the severity of her condition. Theo understood that for Rachel to recover, she would require an extended period of rest and recuperation to restore her health and vitality. Iris was angered by Rachel's actions, scolded her for mistreating a guest. Seeking to make amends, Iris offered Theo an apology, expressing her willingness to take responsibility for the situation by using Rachel's life as atonement. Theo was unimpressed by the proposition, brushed off the idea. He found the situation absurd and believed that Rachel couldn't have acted alone in causing harm. Theo expressed confusion about the situation, questioning why someone would attempt to harm an injured individual who was vomiting blood. Meanwhile, in Iris's thoughts, she contemplated the potential repercussions of the bewitching technique being used on Theo. To prevent any complications stemming from this revelation, Iris considered eliminating Rachel to sever any possible connections or trails leading back to the incident. Iris instructed Rachel to clean up the blood and leave promptly. As Rachel complied, she slowly made her way out of the area under Iris's watchful gaze. Turning to Theo, Iris mentioned that she had not received any updates regarding the faceless killer. Theo responded with a simple acknowledgement. Iris then speculated on the fate of the faceless killer, considering if he had left Huijing for another location or met a grim end, potentially becoming prey for the fiends. Theo expressed his lack of knowledge about the situation, highlighting the elusive nature of the faceless killer, who evaded capture by the alchemists in the prefecture. Iris pondered the mystery surrounding the faceless killer's whereabouts, reflecting on whether he was still alive or had vanished into the shadows. Iris revealed that besides young Master, no one else sought revenge on the faceless killer, piquing her curiosity as she inquired around for more details. Theo acknowledged the high value of the information he had purchased, implying that the Exian sect not only sold information but also acquired it through transactions. Iris expressed that Theo was underestimating the Exian sect, indicating that the price for the information about the faceless killer was actually quite low. Initially, this matter wasn't of concern to her, but the arrival of the new law of spirit energy alchemist intrigued her, prompting her to assist him. He felt a surge of anger at Iris's unexpected kindness. Iris stated that the situation had changed, indicating that if Theo was the one who killed the faceless killer, she would serve him accordingly. To facilitate an exchange of information, she proposed a deal where if Theo provided details about the faceless killer, she would answer one of his questions in return, a mutually beneficial arrangement. Theo weighed the potential outcomes of disclosing the truth to Iris. Recognizing that she could potentially profit by selling the information for more spirit stones, he hesitated and decided against divulging the details. Iris noticed Theo's apprehension and reassured him to keep the identity of the faceless killer's killer a secret. She requested Theo to simply confirm if the faceless killer was deceased or not. Reluctantly, Theo disclosed that the faceless killer was indeed dead, revealing that his body was buried in a small hill located above the northern rice fields in Huijing. Impressed by Theo's insightful revelation about the faceless killer, Iris offered him the opportunity to inquire about any information he desired. Theo acknowledged his inability to read Iris's intentions, but realized he had nothing to lose in this exchange. Theo then requested information on how to travel to Yongnam Nation. Iris was shocked at Theo's inquiry about Yongnam Nation, stating that she had no knowledge of such a country. She clarified that despite her good memory, she had never heard of Yongnam Nation, nor come across any references to it in books or records. Surprised by Iris's lack of awareness about Yongnam Nation, Theo expressed his frustration at the realization that even the owner of a prominent intelligence association was unaware of such a place. Iris reassured Theo that she believed he wasn't mocking her, judging by his sincere expressions. She promised to investigate Yongnam Nation, even if it meant sending someone to the General Assembly, and asked for some time to gather information. Theo acknowledged that Iris's esteemed position in the Intelligence Association likely made this lack of knowledge a blow to her pride. He explained to Iris that Yongnam Nation was a distant land requiring the use of a teleportation portal, suggesting that it was understandable for her not to have heard of it before. Reflecting on his explanation, Theo wondered if he had been too blunt in his response, considering Iris's position and expertise in the realm of intelligence. Iris noted the bustling presence of alchemists in Huijing and inquired if Theo planned to enter the rift as well. Theo confirmed his intention to participate in the rift. When asked about the Exian sect's involvement, Theo inquired if they would be joining the expedition into the rift. Iris clarified that the sect primarily dealt with the exchange of information and did not directly send individuals into the rift. Theo inquired about Iris's perspective on the rift. Iris acknowledged that she hadn't provided an answer to Theo's previous question and offered to share some information about the rift instead as a form of compensation. Theo politely asked the old woman if he could take a brief rest in the area to enjoy some fresh air before departing. The old woman apologized but mentioned that he couldn't stay for an extended period and hoped for his understanding. Theo acknowledged her request. Theo contemplated Iris's perspective, acknowledging the validity of her concerns. However, he also recognized the enigmatic and perplexing nature of the environment surrounding him. As Theo pondered his next course of action, he noticed Rachel watching him from behind a tree. In response, Rachel quickly hid from view. At the trade market, Theo showcased the Eternal Youth Dan pill, explaining that while it doesn't physically reverse aging, it helps individuals maintain their youthful appearance and prevent the effects of aging over time. Theo acknowledged the importance of uncovering the identity of the treasure jade before embarking on his journey into the rift. Theo elaborated that the Eternal Youth Dan pill was the result of 1,000 years of dedication and effort, emphasizing its rarity by mentioning that only one of these pills could be obtained. He expressed his preference for high-grade spirit stones as his preferred form of currency. A woman in the crowd exclaimed her eagerness, stating that she would purchase the Eternal Youth Dan pill at any cost, even if it meant spending all her wealth. She emphasized the importance of verifying the authenticity of the pill before making a purchase, highlighting the significance of ensuring that it was indeed the genuine Eternal Youth Dan pill. A man agreed with the woman's sentiment, expressing his willingness to spend his fortune on the Eternal Youth Dan pill. However, he voiced his skepticism about the sudden appearance of such a rare item, finding it challenging to believe in its authenticity without proper verification. An old man intervened, suggesting that the organizers would assess the pill's legitimacy to address the doubts raised by the attendees. He proposed moving on to the next auction in the meantime, indicating a pause in the current discussion about the Eternal Youth Dan pill to allow for the verification process to take place before proceeding further. Theo's thoughts raced as he speculated about the man's intentions with the Eternal Youth Dan pill. Amidst the ongoing trade, the bidding concluded with a successful bid of 4 highest-grade spirit stones for the pill. The bidder announced their decision to exchange the pill for a Dharma tool, finalizing the transaction and expressing gratitude for the patience of those involved in the trade. The old man made an announcement confirming the authenticity of the Eternal Youth Dan pill, prompting a surge of bids from the crowd. The bidding escalated rapidly as the attendees vied for the coveted pill. 15 highest-grade spirit stones, 24 highest-grade spirit stones, 40 highest-grade spirit stones. Theo expressed surprise at the intensity of the bidding war for the Eternal Youth Dan pill, realizing the extent to which the attendees were willing to go to secure this highly sought-after item. The bidding for the Eternal Youth Dan pill intensified as the attendees competed fervently. 50 highest-grade spirit stones, 70 highest-grade spirit stones. A man then made a surprising bid of 1 special-grade spirit stone, prompting Theo to recall that a special-grade spirit stone was typically valued at 100 highest-grade spirit stones. Another bidder countered with a bid of 2 special-grade spirit stones, followed by a woman offering 2 special-grade spirit stones and 70 highest-grade spirit stones in a combined bid. The bidding concluded with a woman proudly offering 5 special-grade spirit stones for the Eternal Youth Dan pill. Theo reflected on the considerable value of 5 special-grade spirit stones, considering it to be more than he had ever accumulated in his entire life. Understanding the pill's true worth, he contemplated how to utilize the remaining pills effectively, but questioned the ethical implications of using special-grade spirit stones for the treasure jade. Theo's mind raced with suspicions as he questioned whether the faceless killer was concealing his treasure, using the treasure jade as a way to deceive Theo as a form of revenge. The mention of revenge against the lesser devil poison Theo set aside the special-grade spirit stones and used only the remaining ones due to the anticipation of a potential reaction. As he observed the jade, he expressed shock and horror at the unexpected outcome, describing the item in question as ghastly and even monstrous. The realization that such a drastic transformation had occurred after absorbing numerous spirit stones left Theo deeply unsettled. He acknowledged the immense power and impact that the remaining 5 special-grade spirit stones could have. Theo expressed his intention to halt his actions temporarily but expressed a desire to witness the outcome of the situation, if only for the sake of the utilized spirit stones. Despite acknowledging that others might perceive his actions as foolish, he believed that there was a possibility of something significant happening due to the special-grade spirit stone involved. As Theo observed the situation, he noticed a shift in temperature from warmth to heat, prompting him to anticipate a change or transformation as a result of the spirit stone's influence. Theo expressed a sense of urgency as he recognized that the current special-grade spirit stone was his last one. He eagerly awaited the outcome of the transformation. Upon observing the result, Theo questioned whether the newfound object was indeed a Dan pill. Despite its appearance resembling a Dan pill and having some similarities, he remained uncertain about its nature and purpose. Theo considered Wanwan's ability to sense danger through scent and wondered if Wanwan could detect something significant by smelling the transformed object. Wanwan attempted to grab the pill. Theo reacted with surprise and admonished him, cautioning against consuming the item due to the significant investment of spirit stones that went into its creation. Theo playfully threatened to turn Wanwan into cat stew if he dared to eat the pill, adding a humorous element to the interaction. Despite his warning, Theo pondered whether Wanwan might be interested in the crumbs of the pill and decided to observe the unfolding situation, curious to see how Wanwan would react to the pill. Theo observed Wanwan after he consumed the crumbs of the transformed object and noted that there were no visible changes in his behavior. Despite Wanwan appearing to be in a good mood, Theo noticed that Wanwan seemed to struggle to control his strength. Theo entertained the possibility that the object could be the legendary Dan pill. This notion surprised him, as the legendary Dan pill was a rare and elusive item that even the first master had been unable to produce. Theo decided to consume the pill, cautiously managing his expectations while reasoning that since Wanwan had no adverse effects after consuming the crumbs, he should be fine as well. After regaining consciousness, Theo found Wanwan licking him. Theo wondered what happened, reflecting on when he lost consciousness. Suddenly, Yona's voice interrupted his thoughts, bringing him back to awareness. Theo expressed his concern about potentially causing trouble. Yona mentioned that while practicing Qigong, she sensed a peculiar energy emanating from Theo's room, initially appearing to indicate a positive transformation within him. She expressed the need to protect Theo from the interference of the alchemists in their surroundings. Yona inquired about Theo's experience with the Dan pill, prompting him to admit uncertainty about any significant changes. He noted that there hadn't been any noticeable alterations thus far, but he acknowledged that he had yet to conduct a thorough examination to fully understand the effects of the legendary item on his being. Theo reflected on his experience after swallowing the Dan pill, noting that it didn't dissolve but felt like metal. He believed that the pill had transformed into energy immediately, flowing into his Naiden. Theo mentioned that he had no recollection of events after that moment, expecting a sudden surge of spiritual energy or an instant increase in his level. However, while he didn't experience the expected outcomes, he sensed that a definite change had occurred within him, hinting at the subtle yet significant impact of the Dan pill on his being. Yona expressed concern about Theo's well-being, asking if anything was amiss. Theo reassured her that everything was fine, indicating no immediate issues. In his thoughts, he realized with certainty that he had indeed consumed the gold elixir. The gold elixir was known for maturing the Naiden, rather than directly enhancing spiritual power. He noticed a refinement in his spiritual energy and a halving of consumption, indicating a positive transformation resulting from the consumption of the gold elixir. Theo considered the benefits of being able to utilize the destruction sword arts and multiple Dharma tools simultaneously through the chant of black ice. While this ability provided him with a tactical advantage in combat, he acknowledged that it also consumed a significant amount of spiritual energy, making prolonged battles challenging. In a moment of gratitude and affection, Theo revealed that if Yona hadn't been present, he would have immediately embraced Wanwan. Yona speculated that something significant must have occurred, so positive that it left Theo speechless. Theo admitted that he couldn't deceive Yona. Recognizing Theo's dedication to his craft and focus on performance, Yona suggested that he must have accomplished something remarkable. Theo hinted at a significant development and suggested sparring with Yona to test something he had in mind, noting her improved physical condition. Yona perceived Theo's accomplishment and expressed her intent not to hold back during their sparring session. Theo welcomed the opportunity for a serious spar, demonstrating his readiness for the forthcoming challenge. Theo observed the strength of the wind, indicating that the rift was likely opening imminently. Considering that he had even consumed the gold elixir and had Yona by his side, he felt confident that they would be able to embark on the journey through the rift. In a conversation with Iris, Theo recalled her words about the rift opening every 30 years and the potential for a precious treasure to be found in the lake every 300 years. This year marked the 300th year since the last occurrence. Iris explained that while the sect didn't personally send people to retrieve the treasure, they gathered alchemists from outside to explore and evaluate it. The General Assembly would then provide an accurate assessment and distribute appropriate rewards in spirit stones. Theo acknowledged this process. Iris acknowledged Theo's exceptional skills and intelligence, recognizing him as the one who had defeated the faceless killer. Iris highlighted the competitive nature of the situation, emphasizing that others were aware of the treasure information, leading to potential competition. She expressed that having someone like Theo on their side would be highly beneficial. Theo questioned whether Iris was suggesting that he should work for the Exian sect. Iris mentioned that the payment for the treasures obtained from the rift needed to be settled first. Iris acknowledged Theo's impressive skills but emphasized that he couldn't manage all the treasures alone. She proposed that it would be more beneficial for Theo to accept her offer and acquire a significant amount of spirit stones. Theo contemplated Iris's perspective, acknowledging the validity of her point. However, when he responded to her proposal, he expressed gratitude but ultimately revealed that he had no intention of accepting it. Theo harbored a lack of trust towards Iris, fearing that she might betray him as she had done to Rachel in the past. Despite his concerns, Theo decided to make one final request before making any decisions. He inquired about purchasing information regarding the topography inside the rift, seeking to gain a strategic advantage. When Theo made his request to Iris, she explained that the alchemists within the rift only shared information with those they trusted due to the competitive nature of the environment. Iris offered to provide Theo with all the knowledge she possessed about the rift without requesting any payment if he accepted her proposal. She granted Theo 3 days to reconsider his decision, indicating a willingness to assist him should he change his mind within that time frame. Theo reiterated his lack of trust towards Iris, feeling skeptical about her intentions despite considering her proposal. Disappointed by the inability to acquire additional information, Theo grappled with the challenge of navigating the rift without the insights that could have been provided by Iris. As they approached the rift, Yona drew Theo's attention to the imposing sight before them. Theo recognized the rift as they stood at its threshold, marking the beginning of their journey into the unknown. Theo acknowledged that at that moment, he could only rely on the skills and trust between himself and Yona to navigate the challenges that lay ahead. Theo saw that the heavenly birth alchemists couldn't approach due to the strong wind. Reacting quickly, Theo suggested increasing their speed to swiftly enter the area. A man's urgent shout pierced the air, warning everyone to clear the way to avoid peril. The commotion centered around the windmill carriage of the Mountain Willow Manor, causing a stir among the onlookers. The man expressed reluctance to venture closer to the lake this year due to the presence of the Mountain Willow Manor's carriage, hinting at the family's prestigious reputation. Theo pondered the significance of the family's arrival with 4 red heavenly winged horses, indicating that they were no ordinary coachmen. He wondered about the identity and significance of the person inside the impressive carriage that arrived with the Mountain Willow Manor. Yona observed that the carriage seemed unaffected by the strong wind, prompting her to suggest they enter. Agreeing with Yona's assessment, Theo contemplated that regardless of the importance of the person inside the carriage, it didn't directly concern him at that moment. With a sense of detachment from the situation, Theo expressed his readiness to proceed and face the challenges ahead, wishing them luck as they ventured further into the rift. Inside the rift, Theo found himself separated from Yona, in line with the rumored phenomenon where groups entering the rift together would get scattered. Unlike his experience in Lone Spirit Land, Theo was unfamiliar with the geography of this new environment. Grateful for his foresight, he had advised Yona to meet him at the central lake in advance, ensuring they could reunite despite the challenges of the unpredictable and disorienting rift. Yona informed Theo that the exit would open in 1 to 3 months, indicating a potential timeline for their departure from the rift. Theo suggested a cautious approach, advising that they should not overexert themselves. He proposed a plan to harvest sacred herbs and gather spirit stones before regrouping at the central lake. Theo considered Yona's strength and decided that there was no need to hurry. However, driven by curiosity about the treasure in the lake, he felt compelled to conduct a preliminary investigation before taking any further action. Theo called out to Manhwa, instructing the faithful companion to lead him to the location where sacred herbs could be found. Theo noted that there were only 2 heavenly birth alchemists in the vicinity, considering them to be a manageable threat. He expressed confidence in Manhwa's improved responsiveness since consuming the golden elixir, anticipating a successful search for the sacred herbs with the loyal assistance of his companion. Manhwa proved to be exceptionally helpful this time, showcasing its reliability not only in Lone Spirit Land but also in the current situation. Theo managed to gather a significant number of sacred herbs and Niden within just 2 days, mainly found at the center of the rift. While searching with Manhwa, Theo noticed the absence of sacred herbs nearby but stumbled upon a rare find, Kernel Ginseng. Intrigued by the moist soil in the area, he speculated about the possibility of it being a tributary of the valley. Determined to investigate further, Theo and Manhwa decided to explore the surroundings. Theo observed water seeping through cracks in the area, indicating a flow from the inside to the outside during rainfall and rising water levels. Recognizing this as a potential reservoir, he deduced that no one else had ventured to this particular location. Intrigued by the possibility of finding sacred herbs growing in the water or spirit stones scattered on the reservoir's bottom, Theo resolved to explore further and investigate the untapped potential of this hidden and unexplored area within the rift. Theo instructed Manhwa to enter the water barrier. He observed green lights akin to stars approaching rapidly. Confusion clouded his thoughts. Recognizing them as green lightfish, creatures he had only heard of due to their aquatic habitat, Theo's knowledge about them was limited. Considering green lightfish to be middle-class fiends, Theo decided to observe them closely before taking any action. Theo assessed the situation, realizing that the green lightfish were hostile. Despite their attacks not affecting his energy shield, the challenge of facing 30 of them in the water posed a significant threat. Determined not to leave the Niden of the middle-class fiends unattended, Theo acknowledged the increased spiritual power required to combat them in the aquatic environment. Grateful for the decreased spiritual energy consumption due to the effects of the golden elixir, Theo recognized the fortunate reduction in energy consumption, allowing him to navigate the intense confrontation with the hostile green lightfish more effectively. Prepared to confront the underwater foes, Theo braced himself for the demanding battle ahead. Theo gained clarity as he endured numerous attacks from the green lightfish. Realizing that his shield could withstand their assaults, whether from their lights or scales, he felt secure in his defense. Recognizing that the ongoing battle posed no direct threat to him, he saw no benefit in prolonging the confrontation unnecessarily. Theo found satisfaction in his ability to withstand the attacks and emerge unscathed. However, his attention was drawn to the disappearing corpses of the defeated green lightfish, noticing that they seemed to be mysteriously drawn away or absorbed by an unseen force. Theo contemplated the possibility of an internal rift within the rift, considering the unusual nature of the space he found himself in. Given the peculiar circumstances, he reasoned that events within this space would not be considered strange. Despite not witnessing it directly, he observed the green lightfish corpses being absorbed. Noticing that his spiritual power remained unaffected and his short sword undamaged after attempting to touch it, Theo deduced that the phenomenon was linked to another space within the rift. Theo decided to investigate further, recognizing the unpredictable nature of the rift. The discovery of another hidden space beneath the lake heightened his curiosity and anticipation of what lay ahead. Turning to Manhwa for guidance, he inquired about the presence of sacred herbs, but even the faithful companion displayed little reaction. Theo pondered the purpose of the hidden space and decided to explore it further. Among the mushrooms and moss that filled the space, he anticipated the presence of sacred herbs. However, all he found was an abundance of red moss with purple flowers and black spores. His attention was suddenly captured by a remarkable discovery: the scarlet lichen. While not as rare as the red-aged herb, the scarlet lichen was still a valuable find. Theo knew that these lichens were challenging to obtain due to their specific requirements for temperature and humidity, making their presence in this hidden space a significant and fortunate discovery. Theo realized that gathering all the herbs in the hidden space could be used as an ingredient for a potent protection elixir. Reflecting on the value of his journey into the rift, he was interrupted by a sudden presence. Observing an elderly man who appeared to be an alchemist consuming the scarlet lichen, Theo was puzzled by this unexpected sight. Uncertain of the elder man's expertise level, Theo questioned the motives behind the alchemist's actions. Theo hesitated, considering whether to ignore the elder man and depart or to confront the unsettling situation. Troubled by the man's presence, he drew parallels between the elder alchemist and Dante, who had not emerged from the lone spirit land for several decades. The resemblance between the two figures led Theo to speculate that the man must have spent at least 30 years within the rift. Despite his initial uncertainty, Theo decided to approach the elder alchemist. Theo noticed the elder man's pained expressions, stirring a sense of empathy within him. Approaching the man, Theo inquired about his well-being, expressing concern for his state. Observing the elder's demeanor, puzzled by the mystery shrouding the elder alchemist's circumstances, Theo pondered the hardships that might have led to his current condition. Reflecting on the difficulty of uncovering such a secluded space, Theo felt a growing intrigue towards the elder man's untold story. Theo, reaching out to the elder alchemist, offered his assistance, noticing the man's distressed appearance. However, the elder reacted with fear, screaming and avoiding Theo's attempts to help. Reassuring the elder of his intentions, Theo emphasized that he meant no harm and only wished to provide treatment to alleviate the man's pain. Despite Theo's gentle reassurances, the elder alchemist continued to display signs of fear and distress, resembling a wounded animal in his demeanor. Suspecting that the elder may have endured significant psychological trauma, Theo observed the elder alchemist's state, noting that despite his position between heavenly birth and law of spirit energy, indicating considerable strength, he remained in a distressed condition. Offering some medicine in the absence of specialized tools, Theo aimed to provide basic treatment for the man's visible ailments. Aware of the elder's deep-seated fear, Theo recognized the necessity of addressing the immediate physical symptoms to alleviate his suffering. Theo reassured the elder, explaining that the pain would gradually fade as he continued the treatment. Despite his best efforts and even creating the dewdrop elixir for the man's mental well-being, the elder showed no signs of improvement after 4 days. Concerned by the lack of progress, Theo questioned the extent to which he needed to go to help the elder recover. Moved by the elder's evident despair and sadness, Theo grappled with the decision of how far he should push his efforts to aid the alchemist in overcoming his afflictions. Driven by compassion and a sense of duty, Theo couldn't bear to leave the elder in such a distressed and sorrowful state. Theo summoned the elder man, who responded with tears and a sense of urgency. The elder shouted a warning, vehemently emphasizing that the chest that had turned into a stone should never be opened under any circumstances. Distressed by the elder's outburst, Theo sought clarification, puzzled by the cryptic mention of a stone chest and the significance of its contents. The elder man revealed the presence of an evil spirit inside the chest, causing fear and distress. Recounting his journey, he expressed relief at having avoided the evil spirit thus far. Startled by the mention of an evil spirit, Theo inquired about the appearance of the malevolent entity and the whereabouts of the stone chest. Perplexed by the elder man's evident terror, Theo speculated about the man's fears and anxieties, considering the possibility that the elder believed the evil spirit to be present in their shared space. Theo reassured the elder man that everything was now under control and that the rift was open, offering him the opportunity to leave the confined space. However, the elder adamantly refused, expressing a fear of exiting. Theo, understanding the elder's reluctance, emphasized the importance of not remaining in the hidden space solely consuming moss. Seeking to help the elder man, Theo requested his name and details of individuals who were familiar with him. With the intention to guide the elder out of the rift and ensure his safe passage, Theo aimed to facilitate the man's return to the outside world. The elder man, identified as Charles from the Yi family of Yan'an, hesitantly revealed his identity. Theo acknowledged the familiarity of the Yan'an region and assured Charles that his family could be located nearby. However, Charles expressed panic and resistance, insisting that he should not leave. Perplexed by Charles's distress, Theo questioned the cause of his reluctance to depart. In a moment of fear and desperation, Charles confessed to being possessed by an evil spirit. Theo speculated about Charles's mention of the evil spirit residing in the stone chest, connecting it to the elder man's confession. Despite Charles consuming the dewdrop elixir, only a portion of his will had returned, leaving his mental state fragile and unsteady. Theo acknowledged Charles's current condition, attributing it to his prolonged confinement within the hidden space. Assuring Charles of his well-being, Theo acknowledged the toll of long-term isolation on his mental health. Promising to treat his wounds promptly, Theo aimed to alleviate Charles's suffering and fear. Charles expressed a deep fear of being consumed by the evil spirit and believed that if he left the hidden space, the malevolent entity would escape alongside him. Tormented by the idea of possession and haunted by the presence of the evil spirit, Charles felt overwhelmed by his perceived state of being possessed. Theo, understanding the depth of Charles's distress and the complexity of his beliefs, realized that convincing him to leave would be a challenging task. Aware of the urgency of the situation and the need to act swiftly, Theo's mind raced with apprehension as he considered the possibility of an impending attack from Charles. However, to his surprise, the elder man instead presented a token. Charles expressed gratitude to Theo for helping him rediscover his identity, dispelling his fears of insanity. He revealed that the evil spirit had possessed him, preventing him from leaving at all costs. Driven by a sense of duty towards his family and sect, Charles implored Theo to locate his relatives and deliver the token as a means of sharing news about his situation. Understanding the importance of this task, Theo reassured Charles of his commitment to fulfill the elder man's wishes and bring the token to his family. Charles issued a solemn warning to Theo, cautioning him against opening the stone chest if he entered the lake. Theo acknowledged Charles's words, promising to heed his advice. Despite Theo's reluctance to accept his belongings, Charles insisted that Theo use a pouch he offered. Expressing a deep-seated belief that he should not leave the hidden space, Charles succumbed to his internal turmoil, succumbing to his own insanity engulfed by flames. Theo was deeply affected by the tragic death of Charles, whose body was consumed by flames. Gathering the ashes, Theo resolved to deliver them to Charles's grieving family. Puzzled by the purpose of the bracelet from Charles's pouch of abundance, Theo pondered its significance and where to use it. Unable to utilize the damaged Dharma tools and Dan pills found in the pouch, Theo set them aside, focusing on the task at hand. Reflecting on the passing weeks spent in the rift, he prepared to move forward. Theo made a decision in his mind to postpone dealing with the sacred herb and spirit stones for the time being. Urgently, he decided to head towards the central lake without delay. Recognizing the unpredictability of the situation and the importance of not keeping Yona waiting in a place where anything could happen, Theo prioritized reaching the center lake.